Hi, Christopher Westfall here. I'm an insurance agent that specializes in the world of Medicare and Medicare insurance. Today I want to talk to you about a story written by Diane Amdahl in Forbes magazine, where she talks about a person with veterans benefits and their question, do they need Medicare Part B and or a Medicare Advantage plan or Medicare Supplement plan, because they do have VA benefits at a VA hospital. So the quick answer is no, you don't have to sign up for Part B. Here, though, is a reason why you should consider it. First of all, the VA itself says you should consider signing up for all of Medicare, which is both Medicare Part A, the hospital insurance, that typically doesn't cost you anything if you've worked 10 full-time years or 40 quarters throughout your working life. That should not cost you anything when you get to age 65. The question then is Part B, that's outpatient, everything not covered by Part A. And yes, if you go to the Veterans Administration or the VA hospital or the providers that they're allowing you to see, and that encompasses all of your health care, then you may not need it. Also, the Part D drug plan is not needed for sure if you go all VA for all of your drugs. Now, if you want to later get onto the Part D drug program and get Part D drug insurance, you can, in fact, do that if you wait for the annual election period. There's no problem there if you have VA benefits. You just have to wait for the next annual election period, and then it starts the January of the next year. For drug coverage, VA benefits are creditable coverage. That means you're not going to have a penalty. The problem is Part B, B as in boy, of Medicare. VA benefits are not creditable coverage for Part B. Let me tell you the story that Diane notes in her Forbes article. She says, Tom is a Vietnam veteran. At age 65, he retired and signed up for Social Security and Medicare Part A, the hospital insurance, but not Part B, the medical insurance. He doesn't need that to go to the VA. Now, however, at age 75, he's having some issues and needs more frequent medical appointments. The nearest VA facility is 37 miles away. Tom's driving skills have declined and he fatigues easily. He would like to see local doctors. She goes on to say that because Tom did not enroll in Medicare Part B hospital insurance when he was first eligible, he can't sign up anytime he wants to. He has to wait for the general enrollment period, which only happens from January 1 to March 31st in any given year. After that, he has to wait for Part B to kick in on July 1st of whatever year that is. The bad part is this. The VA in and of itself is not creditable coverage for Part B, which means if you didn't sign up for it when you were first eligible and then you sign up for it later using the general election period, you're going to have to pay a penalty. In this case, in Tom's particular case, because it was 10 years without creditable coverage, the penalty is an additional $135.50 every month for his Part B. So you have the Part B premium, plus you have the penalty amount to pay every month for the rest of his life. Why is that? And that's because VA coverage is not creditable coverage for Part B. Now, if you're working on an employer plan and you have group insurance while you're working, in most cases that's going to be creditable coverage, and you can check with them to make sure that it is. Typically, if you're working in an employer that's more than 20 employees, then having Part B of Medicare is optional. You don't have to have it. When you then leave that employer-based coverage, that's going to give you a special election period, and because it was creditable coverage up to this point, you're not going to have any problems. You're not going to have any problems with pre-existing conditions or starting Part B on the first of that next month. No problem at all. The issue here is, should you start Part B when you also have VA benefits? Now, the Veterans Administration says, yes, you should get on full Medicare. Why? Because it accesses you, gives you the availability of all the doctors and all the hospitals that accept Medicare. So it expands what's available to you, and more importantly, later in life, as these things tend to wear out, our body parts, the warranty tends to expire, and we need more access to doctors and hospitals and specialty clinics and things that may or may not be covered by the VA, then you're going to want Part B. And when you get Part B at that point, that's when it's going to trigger the lifelong penalty. I do have good news, though. A lot of people that we talk to use the VA for their drug care. So they don't want to sign up for a Part D drug plan, and that is fine. Here's the weird thing about that. Part D drug coverage considers the VA to be adequate and comparable care for drug coverage only. So if you start with a Part D drug plan and you had VA before, you can do that any year. Not any time of the year, but any year. You have to wait till the annual election period, and that's October 15th, and it ends December 7th. And whatever you select during the annual election period for your Part D drug plan takes effect January 1 of the next year. So if you've been on VA coverage and now suddenly you need some drugs that are not covered by the VA, you cannot immediately start on a Part D drug plan through an insurance company, but you can on the first of the next year if you sign up during the annual election period in that year. And it is considered credible coverage, the VA, for Part D drug plans. Again, the problem is Part B, B as in boy, of Medicare, and that's the outpatient. That's pretty much everything having to do with Medicare. So if you want full coverage, you can still go to the VA for all of your hospital needs. And I understand that the VA is now allowing more doctors to be available if you're so far away from the VA hospital. However, for full choice and availability of doctors, hospitals, specialists, and everything else, you really should get Part B when you're first eligible. Anytime that I look at a penalty that's going to be applied to a senior, you really have to think long and hard about the fact that that penalty is not just sitting in the penalty box for a year or 2 years. With Part B, and if you never had drug coverage, Part D getting it later is a lifelong penalty for as long as you continue to be on Medicare. So in this particular case at Diane's story, she's talking about someone with 10 years, from 65 when everybody's healthy and they think I'll never need it. I've been healthy as a horse my whole life. We hear it all the time, and they opt not to get Part B. What happens then when you are 10 years down the road and you do want to go see doctors that are maybe not 40 miles away to go to the nearest hospital? Then when you make that decision that you want Part B and you didn't have credible coverage before, first you have to wait to that special period during the year, and then you have to wait for it to kick in July 1st, and then you're going to find out about that penalty. It's a rough road, but the easiest way to solve that is when you turn 65 to sign up for Part A, should be automatic. Sign up for Part B. If you're drawing Social Security, they're going to automatically opt you into Part B, and you'd have to send your card back and say, no, I don't want it. If you're not drawing Social Security, there is no automation there. You need to let them know you're not going to get Part B. You don't want it right now, and that's fine. But you better have credible coverage while you're in that waiting period, either working at an employer plan or something else where you're going to have coverage should you decide at one point in the future to forego that other coverage and then switch over into Medicare. And then what I do, what Medicare insurance does, is with Part B of Medicare, again, Part A is hospital, Part B is outpatient, everything else. With Part B, it leaves you exposed to 20% of all of those charges. So unless you have insurance to cover that, and there is no maximum out of pocket on that. If you just have original Medicare, Part A and Part B, if you go into the hospital, it's around $1,300, and it's going to change every year, $1,300 for that first admission into the hospital. But that's really not the big expense. The big expense is the unlimited, no ceiling, no cap, Part B expense, which can be, like we said, unlimited. More and more procedures that we're finding today are done on an outpatient basis. They want to get you in, they want to get you out. Even if they keep you in the hospital almost 2 days, they consider that to be outpatient because you were never fully admitted. So all of those charges are billed under Part B of Medicare if you were never admitted. What that means is your maximum exposure is 20% of that maximum bill. If you've ever seen a hospital bill before Medicare gets a hold of it, it could be massive. So if you have Part B of Medicare, you should have some type of insurance to take care of that. A Medicare supplement, otherwise known as a Medigap plan, fills in the holes where original Medicare leaves off. And trust me, you don't want to be exposed to 20% of all the bills in an unlimited nature with regard to Medicare. The other option is you could not use original Medicare, going to any hospital and any clinic and any doctor that accepts original Medicare, which is most everybody, and you could opt into a Medicare Advantage program. Typical Medicare Advantage programs have restrictions and limitations on them. The first and the most of which is you have to go to their network. Most have a network that you have to go to. If you go outside the network and you've signed up for a Medicare Advantage plan, If it's a typical Medicare Advantage HMO, they will pay absolutely nothing. They won't pay the original 80% like Medicare would have done had you gone to anybody using insurance or not. You don't have that option anymore if you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. The Medicare Advantage plan then becomes your Bible and your small world in which you must operate. I'm surprised all the time how many agents don't explain that to someone that they're getting to just merely sign on a piece of paper and sign up for that Medicare Advantage plan. They must understand they don't have Medicare plus the Medicare Advantage plan and can choose to go back and forth between the two anytime that they want to during the year. I've talked to so many seniors who will say, well, I thought I have A and B, right? I have to have A and B, so that means I can go anywhere. The only problem is I have to pay 20%. So if I want to go to the specialist, I'll just go there and pay my 20%, having signed up for a Medicare Advantage plan. It doesn't work that way. You're either all one way or you're all the other way. Now, the technical part of it is, and they train agents on this every year, we have to certify, you are part of Original Medicare. Yes, you just can't use it. For the contract period of duration that you're on that Medicare Advantage plan, you can't go to any hospital, any network, with no restriction whatsoever, like you can with Original Medicare. There are other types of Medicare Advantage plans, like a Medicare savings account, like a PPO, where you can have access to other doctors, but every time you access them, you must find out what your exposure is. Do they accept the terms? And what is your cost if you go outside of a network? And like an MSA, you have to make sure that that doctor will accept assignment. We can go down the rabbit hole. The question is, if you're starting on Medicare, should you get Part B? I say overwhelmingly, and even if you have VA, the VA says, yes, start Part B when you first can. And if you haven't done it up to this point, and you're looking at this video going, oh my gosh, what did I do? I started when I was 65 onto Medicare. I did not get on Part B. Now I'm 67, 69, whatever it is. Understand that the penalty for Part B increases over time. Same thing with Part D drug coverage. If you didn't have it up to the point that you're just going to sign up for it now for whatever reason, understand that that's a monthly, accruing, always increasing, and never goes away penalty. That's a long sentence with a lot of hyphens. So understand that you have to sign up for it as soon as possible, or you have to wait for a special period of time in which you can sign up for it, but the sooner the better. If if in this case, if he had signed up for it at age 66 or 67, it'd be a very, very small penalty. Now, though, that he's waited 10 years, it's a huge penalty that will follow him for the rest of his life. If you have any questions about your eligibility, should you or should you not sign up for Part A or Part B, give us a call. That's what we do all the time. We talk to people who are starting Medicare, making those critical decisions so that they don't make the wrong decision at the beginning and potentially leave them with a lifelong penalty that could, when you're on a fixed income, every bit helps, and every bit taken out can hurt dramatically. Many of our senior clients don't have the opportunity to just go out there and get another job so they can supplement their health insurance benefits. So it makes perfect sense to get all of the education you can right at the beginning, and that's what we would help you with if you call my office. We do Medicare insurance. So if you want to ask if this plan is better than that plan, or what are all the options, what's all available, it's specific for your zip code. So if you'll call us and tell us what your zip code is, we'd be happy to help you with that. My agency's name is the Senior Savings Network. We're licensed in almost every state. It's 46 states in the union. So give us a call if we can help you. Again, my name is Christopher Westfall. Thanks for watching. And if you want to know about what's happening with Medicare, what's going to change in the future, what are they proposing, and how will it impact me, I encourage you to subscribe to these videos. You can hit that little subscribe button down there, and the bell notification lets you know right away if something's happening with Medicare. I'll probably cover it and can deliver you the facts and the information you need to make an informed choice. So I'm Chris Westfall. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless you. Bye-bye.